We are three indie game developers from Austin, Texas. We're traveling across North America, seeking out indie game developers who are mastering the craft. Along the way, we take the challenge of making indie games that explore some of the same concepts. Who are we? The artist, Diego Almazan. The programmer, Chad Stewart. The designer, Zeb West. The challenge, to create a video game in only the time it takes to drive to their studio in a van. This is the Indie Van Game Jam.
Before we set off for Chicago, we sat down to play Pop Methodology back at Binary Solo headquarters, aka my apartment.
Oh, snap. Like, this is going to turn bad.
You're decelerating.
We all reside in the Lake of Broken Stone. Using familiar game genres, each with some ironic twist, Rob runs the player through a wide variety of experiences and emotions.
Oh yeah, hatchback.
No, that serves a station wagon, yeah. I mean, you got children in the car, man.
I'm killing them. No, you're liberating them. Oh man.
After our playthrough, we sat down to talk about the game and come up with a question that we'd use as the premise of the game we'd make on our way to visit Rob.
He's made a bunch of interconnected minigames, essentially. But he's taken genres that are well known and kind of flipped them, and taken away kind of the hero part of it. The experiment is that it's questioning the genres themselves as what is required.
I mean, that's, he calls his game an experiment, so maybe in some ways our game jam will be an experiment.
It definitely felt explorative. Like, it seemed less to me like he was just trying to do everything, and more like he was trying to show you a bunch of things. And I thought it was really successful in that respect. Like, just going through some of the different gameplay styles that have been popular over time, and just connecting them together in a really cool way.
Yeah, genre keeps coming up in my mind because it shifts genres. It sort of plays with the idea of genre. That seemed really present anyway. So where were we landing there? How do you? Was it? Is that what we were saying?
What happens?
What happens when you? So the question that we decided to go with is,
how does someone look at a game and go, oh, it's an RPG? And can we challenge that? Can we take away something that we think people think is essential to a game, to a genre, and still have people think it's that genre?
Yeah, high five.
It's 9 a.m. here in Austin, Texas. We're ready to depart for Chicago, Illinois to visit Rob Lach. We're gonna try to make a game in his style, and we're gonna ask him how he does it. We've got 48 hours.
You guys ready to roll?
we're kind of in the pre-production phase still, I'd say. We kind of are digging around for a genre that we can sort of take out an essential element of.
Just try to think of things that are typical for the genre, try to tweak them a little bit.
Rhythm game minus music, racing game minus
Finish line? Still think a great title for this game would be Winning.
An educational game with no lessons.
Maybe there's a rebellion going on, and so every fortification you set up just attacks your tower.
So it's a tower offense game? A beat 'em up without enemies.
Yeah, Brawler is a little bit like that. If you were trying to take a beating,
We call it Paladin.
yeah, tank. If there was a typing game, every key on your keyboard would be shifted to the left or the right, but you don't know which or something like that. So it's unlearning your typing skills. The first-person shooter where you shoot yourself.
First-person shooting.
No, so you shoot the first person you see.
You accidentally shoot the second person you saw, you lose.
You get one bullet, one chance, one guy.
What if you had a first-person shooter where the camera was facing you
And you still had to try and shoot people who were in front of you, but the camera's just facing you.
Like behind enemy lines?
That makes sense in cinema because the drama is on the person's face, but for the player, like, you want to be able to see what you're shooting.
I've always wanted to do a second-person shooter.
How would you hit something?
The thing is, you want to do it all like in the expression of the face and in reflections.
Yeah, a major upgrade would be some like cop sunglasses.
Some giant cop sunglasses so you can kind of see the reflection, but then you mostly need to know, like, based on his like facial features, like how good you're, like how close you are is like an extra hint.
Yeah, it would work with zombies too because zombies move slowly.
Yeah.
And you could have something like a flamethrower, which is not a precision weapon. If all of it was in the aviator glasses reflection and in your expression,
I'd kind of want to make it a bat or an axe.
there's a fun dynamic there because, like, you don't want to get close to a zombie, but while you have this, maybe your widest cone of damage, like, is with a short-range weapon, but there's some tension in the fact that you kind of don't want to get that close. So far, the one that we sort of dug the deepest in was about doing a first-person shooter that's actually second-person perspective, where the camera is flipped onto the character's face rather than from the other way around, from the point of view of the character.
I mean, we can show like just this shock and horror every time you have to kill someone.
We would want to take something like that and make that a gameplay dynamic. Yeah, we're at, what, it's 11 o'clock, 11:07 Central Time right now. 46 hours until we show this game to Rob Lach. Feels like a lot of time at this point.
It's not.
No.
This is Rob Lach, an indie developer, musician, and a philosopher from Chicago, Illinois. Rob was an Indiecade finalist, demoed his work at the Fantastic Arcade Expo, and received honorable mention in the Nuovo category at the IGF for his game, Pop Methodology Experiment 1. It's comprised of several minigames that explore different philosophical doctrines, hypnotic video art montages, and a slammin' synth soundtrack. Did I mention that it's free to pirate? Rob is from Chicago, Illinois. That's 1,120 miles from Austin. We have an idea. We have a game plan. Now it's time for Chad to program using C# and for Diego to learn how to use a 3D modeling tool.
What could I be doing?
Art, I guess.
So I'm getting pretty pumped. I just got weapons in, and I've just been sitting here clicking my axe all day. When you're controlling it, they're like, is it weird just because of the view, or like, is it actually backwards from what I think it should be?
Sounds a little burbly, like a bird creature.
Sounds like sheep.
Making sound effects. I'm gonna try and make like horrific zombie noises that the player would hear. So basically, since the camera in the game is facing the player's face, one of the tools that they would have to be able to like see where to go, where to shoot, or where to attack is their sense of hearing. It's me saying, "Chad, I am your father," which is true.
Oh my god!
It's chanting my name.
I can't see any of the buttons on my keyboard because it's too dark in here.
How about that?
I think I think that doesn't do anything.
How about
for me.
that?
There we go. Now that I actually kind of know the buttons for freaking Blender, and now I could actually look for them on the keyboard.
The Indy van rolls into St. Louis, Missouri, the gateway to the West. We check into a hotel and head straight to the bar. Not to get drunk, but to get drunk on the magic of making video games. We work on our second-person shooter game until our screens look fuzzy and our glasses are empty.
11:33 a.m. in St. Louis. That means that we have less than 24 hours before we show the game to Rob. Probably about 22 and a half hours from right now. So we have some time today. We're going to a meetup right here at the T-Rex space tonight. It's a co-working space and technology incubator right in downtown St. Louis, right by our hotel. So we're excited to meet the people inside and do a little game jamming in here, and then tonight we'll party down and meet up with some cool developers here in St. Louis.
As nice as it is working in a van, it's going to be a little bit of a breath of fresh air to actually be at a desk somewhere where we could just sit down and focus on ideas more than trying to get comfortable.
Pretty much stop traffic.
I'm gonna put them in a folder.
In our rush to get animations from Diego to Zeb, some files go missing. This completely ruins the build. We're already behind schedule to meet Rob, and this is a huge setback. Without the meta files describing the model, we can't create the avatar. If we have nothing to show Rob in an hour, well, why'd we drive all the way to Chicago?
Chicago, the land of deep dish pizza and hot dogs. We barely manage to make the game playable as we pull up to the Indy City Co-op. It's finally time to meet Rob. He works at a co-working space which has housed developers like The Men Who Wear Many Hats, Cardboard Computer, and Trinket Studios.
It all up.
All right. Oh my God, there's. Okay, I see. Can I use it? How do I slice people with it?
Yeah, okay, so
Am I throwing it? Whoa.
There we go.
Are these throwing axes? Is this what's going on?
Can we like pretend that that's true to make it look better?
It's like flying way out of my head. Whoa. Okay, now I'm getting it. Really like this perspective. It's like this guy's face is. It's really it's like absorbing me. I feel like looking at this guy's face is just constantly distracting me from what I'm actually supposed to be doing. I don't know if that's intentional, but I love it. Okay, I get it.
Oh, see, you're moving backwards the way that I was saying that, like, this is the way you begin to, like, want to move.
Yeah, moving backwards is significantly easier. And I don't think that's your intention, right?
Yeah.
You should just prevent walking backwards at all.
You just make it so that walking backwards goes really slow.
Yeah, just make you like fall over. I mean, if your goal is to prevent walking back, I mean,
Well,
you don't need to walk backwards. You can just turn around.
yeah.
It's like the sort of idea that people put like jumping in games because games have had jumping, but I mean, if your game doesn't need jumping, just don't put jumping in it.
Oh, I unchecked jumping.
You can totally jump. That's just like the game design baggage you carry from playing games, which is one of the problems with modern game design. Your basic mechanic is the fighting the frustration of it, which if you play my game, is part of it quite a bit, like quite a huge part of it. Games are frustrating. I love them because now you're exploring a whole different set of emotions. as you go too far into not seeing where you're going, that's frustration that's out of your control, and it gets frustrating in a bad way, where it's not like in a co-op way where it's more like, why isn't this working the way I want to?
Right.
There isn't that much more you need to add to have something that's more compelling than you currently have, that people would be willing to play. Look of it aside, because that's just time. But I think you have something interesting here.
Yeah. Thanks. That's good. It gives me hope.
I figure you Texans would like this stuff.
Yeah, right.
I like living in Chicago, just inspiration-wise. I think Chicago in general is like a nice mix between the industrial and sort of the creative. I guess the personality of the city comes from that. There's architecture. It's like a nice mix between the two. It's supposed to be beautiful, but also functional. And I think games are a good analogy for that. It's like half art, half technical. I mean, when I was in college and high school, I always imagined going into the game industry. And then once you get there, it's this is a lot different than I was imagining. And I'm not doing anything I'd want to do, but being an indie, you're pretty much doing exactly what I imagined I'd be doing. I romanticize the industry, and I think a lot of people do. That's why a lot of programmers work for nothing in the game industry versus getting a job at Google.
Yeah, I think anybody that goes indie should have several years of professional experience, just so they know why they should be indie, because they should hate the industry. And spite drives me, because I never want to return to that. But B, because you do learn a bit about scheduling and scope and all that bullshit.
You put Pop up on Pirate Bay.
Yeah.
What was your methodology there?
It's a really niche / experimental artistic game. So the people that are going to pay for it would be people that would pay for it because they want to either support something like that or they found it really interesting. And sort of the main market is not going to pay for anything like that. So I'd rather have them download it and play it at all versus not make money than them not playing it at all. So I'm well, might as well. I mean, I'm already at the the long tail of that compared to when it was released. I made you make 95% of your money in the first X amount of time. Once after that, I mean, it's oh great, I got a royalty check for barely anything. So I might as well. I've had people that downloaded it and then bought it after it. And it's just free advertising after that.
I'd rather be poor and famous than have nobody know who I am and make an extra $20.
I made that game by myself. I did everything in it, so I mean it's pretty personal. So if someone likes that, even I feel they have a personal connection to me, and that's just something I like to hold on to and build. Pop, I programmed the IGF build of that in 9 days. I made all the content beforehand, and then the last step was programming, just how I structured the process of creating that game. And if I didn't have 30 games just sitting on my hard drive that I worked on, I wouldn't be able to pump that out that quickly. Because it's a series of mini games and has a lot of mechanics, and you have to program all those individually. So I mean, it's not trivial to do it that quickly.
You guys want to get out of here? Should we go? All right, let's do it.
Our time in the Windy City is quickly coming to a close, and Rob wants to show us the Indy City arcade cabinet he built.
The Chicago community right now is sort of exploding. There are tons of great games coming out of here now.
So we bundle up and head out to Emporium Barcade to toast the indies. Along the way, Zeb purchases the largest set of earmuffs imaginable.
So long, Chicago. Bye.
We will now be traveling 201 miles.
All right, let's start this thing. Can we do this? Yeah. Let's just list off maybe Rob Lach's suggestions, the ones we can remember.
I feel like that was about it. Yeah, just that.
Just 3 weeks worth of tasks. I think he was also trying to really guide us back to our premise, you know what I mean? Which was about flipping this perspective, disorienting the player, and then discovering a unique experience within that. Yeah. We have marching orders, we have a kind of a plan.
Wherever the road takes us.
Yeah. When in Rome.
This was definitely the maiden voyage for the Indie Van Game Jam.
The van made it. That's no small feat.
We ended up phenomenally screwing up our build right before showing it to Rob.
Rob is a really cool guy, really welcoming and humble about what he does, and really good too. He had great feedback on the game. Was very generous about the state that it was in, which was a ridiculous state because it's a Game Jam product that we're halfway done with. So it's like less than half of a prototype. Let me see.
Well, it's time to just stick a door in. Stick an X somewhere. Hey, that's my play.
Saved.
No idea how those levels even play out.
It's dark. It's 1:16 a.m. in Austin. We've returned from Chicago where we visited Rob Lach. We've created some kind of game. We've been driving all day. We just rushed to get the last of 5 levels in. We got 5 levels in for our game. Our second person shooter.
Besides all of the stuff involving just us making the game, it was just great getting out there and world. Makes me hopeful that we're just going to continue to do that.
I'm so pleased at how generous everyone was with us along the way, and how fun it was to just kind of like actually go on one of these adventures and make a game too. Like I'm really surprised by how the game turned out. Like the distance between when we were discussing it back at my apartment and like it was just this weird sort of conceptual idea based on an art game, you know, like how did this thing come just of that conversation, you know, in such a compressed amount of time? Like that's pretty amazing to me.
I love how Rob corrected us and said it was Rob Lach. It did not faze you one bit.
Yeah.
You've called it Rob Lach and Latch a million times afterwards.
Rob Lach. Rob Lach. I think it's a French. It's Welsh French.
My name is Rob Lach.
I think we got a game.
Has come to my attention. You're going to be making a game in a short amount of time.
We are Binary Solo. We will journey to 7 indie game studios and make 7 indie games because we believe in the do-it-yourself spirit. Do you want to make a game? What are you waiting for? The tools are at your fingertips. Like all great journeys, you just have to take the first step.